Let's read some Jackson Hinkle tweets. Claims that the Russian military slaughtered 410 civilians in Bucha, Ukraine don't add up. They're almost certainly a false flag, and here's why. Russian troops were living in harmony with civilians in Bucha for a full month after occupying the Bucha-Kiev region for a month and completing all relevant military objectives. Russian forces announced their troops in the region would be withdrawn to shift focus elsewhere. March 29th. I mean, this was like a whole 6 days ago. I mean, they're acting like this happened yesterday, but this happened 6 days ago. They left 6 days ago and nobody bitched about the goddamn bodies. This was a premeditated withdrawal that was announced a week ago. See Reuters story above. This was not a retreat due to encroaching Ukrainian forces. Why would Russians leaving the city scatter the corpses with civilians on the road? This was not a hurried departure. So that's it, because the Ukrainian forces wasn't pushing up on them and made them get the fuck up out of Dodge. How about that? This was an illegal invasion. How about this was an illegal invasion and they had to get the fuck out? They're sitting there putting mines down on the ground, so they're killing the witnesses. They're making sure that there's no witnesses. That seems to be the Occam's razor, the most, obvious solution. But let's get into this. Let's see what is, I know that a person has died when there's like a death certificate, and, I knew that they were around. I talked to them. I saw them. And then I saw their dead body. So I saw that they were alive. I've seen some official documentation. That doesn't always prove it. But really a dead corpse, I think, is probably the best way to prove that somebody was killed, right? That person was not dead beforehand. All those, he admits that there's at least 410 corpses. I thought there was just 290. So he's added over 100 corpses. And if it's a false flag, then who the fuck is this, a Donald Trump thing? Would he, have a bunch of American planes with Chinese flags? What the fuck else could this be? I mean, CIA went ahead and killed 400 innocent people and just said, see what Putin did, but it was really the CIA who did it? Now, I guarantee you these war atrocities are going to be found all throughout the Ukraine. Even more shocking in this video from Bucha after the Russian withdrawal, filmed by an Azov militant. He posted the video yesterday in which you could hear Azov forces say he misspelled here. The guys are without blue bands over there. Can I shoot them? Try. So, okay, there's been some atrocities on both sides. So they're sitting there saying if you don't have a blue band. That reminds me of some guy said, what's your gang affiliation? We have no gang, and then he shot him. So, okay, well, you're just a civilian. You don't have any gang affiliation. You're not a Coloradan. You're not an American. You're not a... What's your last name? How about your family? They don't carry. Okay. Another odd point in the Bucha story is the Bucha massacre is that Russia has repeatedly gone to the United Nations Security Council over the past 24 hours to ask for an investigation into the events of Bucha. I mean, that's fucking slick as shit, but let's get into it. Let's find out who the fuck killed 400 people in Bucha. I want to fucking know. I want to know. The United Kingdom has blocked all efforts to investigate or discuss these civilian casualties. So that's interesting. Russia asking for, the UN Security Council to discuss Bucha provocation. But it's not going to be just Bucha. Before any investigations could take place, the war criminal liar-in-chief Vladimir Zelensky jumped to the conclusion that Russia was responsible for the civilian casualties in Bucha, despite Russia's denial and request for a full investigation. All right. We're going to trust the rapists, aggressing criminal motherfuckers, right? Why would you trust the victim when you could just trust the criminal? Ukraine has committed serious war crimes throughout the ensuing battle, have no problems with torturing or killing Ukrainian civilians. The New York Times caught Ukrainian troops torturing Russian POWs. That's not Ukrainian civilians. Shooting them in the legs, filming the troops as they bled to their deaths. That's pretty awful, that's pretty awful, but goddamn that they're fucking Nazis. Fuck a fucking Nazi. You should carve a fucking swastika in his fucking forehead. We also know Ukraine has committed war crimes that cause Ukrainian civilians to die. WAPO documented that Ukrainian forces are preventing civilians from leaving war zones, staging military armaments in civilian zones. Ukraine is using civilians as human shields. That's martial law. That's a draft. We still got the draft in the United States. So, yeah, Zelensky said that there's a draft. It's interesting that Jackson Hinkle doesn't see the totalitarian, fascism of Putin, but he sees the reaction the leftist fascism of Zelensky. Well, when Putin hit Zelensky, Zelensky hit him back. I bet Jackson Hinkle was pissed off that Chris Rock, or he's not pissed off, he's probably team Will Smith, right? Because you're allowed to just go around attacking people, and do they have a right to defend themselves? Nah. I bet you Jackson Hinkle's on team Will Smith. Just a guess. Just a guess. There's dozens of examples of Ukrainian vigilantes, paramilitary forces. Good. Police stripping, beating Roma. Okay, this is bad. Ethnic Russian Ukrainian civilians. The ethnic Russians are a fucking problem because we let you stay over here. Now you're invading us, saying that this was your country the whole fucking time. The Roma didn't do shit. They're the gypsies. The Roma, those are the Eastern Slavs. The gypsies are your Ukrainians, Estonians. That's why you have an Eastern Bloc, because you got the Eastern Slavs. The Roma are not Russian. The Roma are not German. The Roma are not Middle Eastern or African. The Roma are themselves. The Roma are Mila Kunis. The Roma are Ina Shevchenko. The Ukrainian military spent the last 8 years waging a brutal asymmetric war against rebels in the Donbass. Asymmetrical war? How can you say it's asymmetrical? 14,000 individuals have been killed. 1/3 civilians, 1/3 Ukrainians, and 1/3 the Russians. So he keeps saying 14,000 like Ukraine killed 14,000. They ain't killed 14,000 people. Both the Russians and the Ukrainians killed 14,000 people together collectively. The vast majority were killed by Ukrainian forces. Of what? 14,000? Over 21,000 has been killed so far at the very least. 410 in just this one town. So Jackson Hinkle's all pissed off about the 8 years of civil war when more people have died in the last goddamn month than the entire civil war combined. Even if you were to put 14,000 on the heads of Ukraine, well, 21,000 is bigger than 14, so that means Russians have killed more than the Ukrainians. Why would Russia, who lived in peace with these civilians for a month and withdrew from Bucha and lived in peace, they occupied them, militarily occupied them. What, they didn't shoot a single mortar, not a single round? I bet you that video where those 2 old people got shot the fuck up, or that pregnant woman, all that's bullshit, right? None of that's actually happening. You heard Scott Ritter say that they were going to, level Mariupol, and then they're going to sit there and pretend. I mean, let's get to the bottom of it. I want to know who the fuck did Bucha. I don't know. Syria's such a fucking clusterfuck. I don't know who the fuck did what, but I'm paying attention to this shit. So let's make Bucha fucking ground zero. Why would they hide the evidence? Why would they do the one thing that could provoke U.S. response? They invaded another country. That provokes U.S. response, you stupid fuck. Why would the Russians do something that totally goes against their interest? They went to invade. It's fucking war. They kill people. That's what war is. Not to mention Russia reports they left Bucha on March 30th. Even if we don't believe that, the mayor of Bucha confirmed this on March 31st, April 1st. Video shown on Ukraine 24 TV. At this time, no one talks about any corpses on the street. March 31st, April 1st video shown. All this time, nobody talks about corpses on the street. What were they talking about? March 31st will go down the history of our town. This is what the mayor's saying. The whole territorial community as a day of liberation from the Russian orcs, the Russian occupiers, by our armed forces of Ukraine, of our settlements. So they're saying that they, repel the Russians. The Russians just fucking left and fuck them motherfuckers. Today's a great day. We just kicked them bastards out. He's celebrating that they left. Well, you want to sit there and say, well, 400 people died so that they could, leave. It was a successful battle. Living in harmony. I like this response. I don't know, dog. Living in harmony is one hell of a way to classify rolling tanks and APCs across the country. Russia just invaded the shit out of everybody, bombed the fuck out of everybody. Why would you assume an invading fucking force with tanks and bombs and guns and who says they're going to nuke the shit out of anybody who stops them? Why would you assume that they committed atrocities? The UN, they want to take it to the UN? Take it to the UN. But they're the veto motherfuckers of the UN. Take it to NATO. Let's take it to Congress. Let's take it to the fucking House of Colorado. Ilya Kiva, Bucha being staged by Ukrainian Special Service. Why would Russians kill people that receive their aid? Where's your proof that they lived in harmony? Photos or videos of them being welcomed into the area? He's got none. He has none. He has a right to speak. He's an American. He's totally wrong. He's pissing me off, with a lot of. He almost seemed like he was laughing about the dead people that were dying in the Ukraine. That's big fucking comedy to Jackson Hinkle. He's like, of course it's wrong to murder people, and then he kind of laughs about it. I don't know. If you don't even think fucking mass murder, you Jeffrey Dahmer motherfuckers, is wrong, I got to really question. Do you have any fucking morals? Because I'm sitting there saying like justice and peace and liberalism, constitutional freedoms. This is. Am I being a silly goose?